Behold how good it is, and how pleasant when brethren dwell in unity.
This week's Torah portion covers Numbers 22:2 to 25:9. 38 years of wilderness wandering have passed with very little biblical commentary. Miriam and Aaron have died, and Moses knows he will never step foot in the Promised Land. The Israelites now find themselves battling Edomites, Amorites, and Canaanites in their journey onward. By the time they arrive to the plains of Moab, rumors of their victories have spread across the land. The king of Moab, Balak, fears the coming Israelites. Much like the Egyptian pharaoh, Balak is unsettled by the large number of Israelites. Balak sends for the seer Balaam because he believes that whomever Balak curses will be cursed, and whomever he blesses will be blessed. We know from Egyptian records from this same time period that it was a common practice to hire seers to compose poetic curses against enemies. The story of Balak fits perfectly into the historical context. However, it is an odd departure in the Hebrew Bible. There have been rare instances of non-Israelites speaking with the God of the Hebrews. Melchizedek, the King of Shalem, is the most obvious example, but the way Numbers recounts the episode, Balaam and the one true God are in sincere dialogue, even if Balaam also seems to be an opportunistic pagan seer. King Balak sends his messengers to Balaam to convince him to look out on the Israelite encampment and pronounce a curse. At first, Balaam sleeps on the offer. God gives him an absolute answer. Do not curse the Hebrew people, for they are blessed. King Balak did not give up, and he sent higher-ranking messengers. Balaam understands that he is allowed to go, but he must follow God's direct orders. While Balak is en route with Balak's officers, the encounter with the talking donkey happens. While this story was a childhood favorite of mine, as an adult I am puzzled by the meaning of the episode, which seems more like one of Aesop's fables than a divine encounter. But the more I consider the sequence of events and the unusual nature of Balaam, the angst-ridden prophet, I realize that the talking donkey story is making a very strong point. God uses Balaam to utter some of the most esteemed blessings that have ever been spoken over the Hebrew people. God knows that the words Balaam speaks will go down for posterity's sake for all of time, and will be a reassuring source of identity during much greater trials to come for the Jews. Balaam, it seems, is not worthy of the divine message that he carries, and the fact that God uses a talking donkey to state the obvious to Balaam demonstrates the point that God can choose whatever vessel he likes to channel his message. The vessel may not always be worthy. Balaam had a divine encounter with the God of the Hebrews, but so did the donkey. Their essential nature was not changed by the encounter. Later on, Balaam will be responsible for collaborating with the Moabites in a plot to seduce the Israelite men with Moabite and Midianite women and idolatry. He is not an innocent seer, but the words he speaks on a hill overlooking the plain are direct from God. Balaam says, God is not a human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot change it. Balaam adds comforting poetry. How beautiful are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel, like valleys they spread out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by the Lord, like cedars beside the waters. The verse that will be held up for the rest of Jewish history comes from Balaam's mouth. As I see them from the mountaintops, gaze on them from the heights, behold, it is a people that dwells alone, not reckoned among the nations. I can assure you to this day that the nation of Israel often feels the sting and comfort of this prophecy, that they are a people who dwell alone. When possible, I love to share archaeological evidence for Bible stories or biblical characters. This one is too good to pass up. In 1967, archaeologists were excavating the ancient city of Deir Allah in modern-day Jordan. The site had been destroyed by an earthquake sometime in the 8th century, possibly the same earthquake mentioned in Zechariah as the earthquake that stopped up the valley in the days of King Uzziah of Judah. The team found a crumbled multi-chamber sanctuary. Digging through the rubble, they could tell that one of the walls once bore a long inscription of an ancient religious text. When they were able to piece back together the 120 plaster pieces, what they were staring at was the oldest Aramaic literature ever found. And who was one of the prominent characters in the story? Balaam. And just in case there was any doubt that it was a different Balaam from that of the story in Numbers, he is named Balaam, son of Beor. The famous seers' visions and prophecies were written with black and red ink. Archaeology is a weapon of truth. Trust your Bible. Shabbat Shalom.
Behold how good it is, and how pleasant when brethren dwell